So it has been a number of weeks now since Texas's new abortion law became one of the biggest stories across the country. Before we get into the law's current status, I want to ask you about the negative reactions that were seen immediately to the law. Many Texan women and women all across the country are scared and claim it is an attack on their constitutional rights. What is your response to that?
There's no issue that's more personal, more visceral that we deal with than this question of abortion, the right to life, a woman's right to choose. We understand that. So we try to be sensitive when we deal with this issue. Whenever we have a bill like this, it always goes to court. There's always reactions. And ultimately, this law is about protecting innocent life. And so that little baby growing inside her mother's womb, we believe that that's a living human being worthy of protection. And so that's what this bill's about. When we passed the heartbeat bill, we also increased funding for the Alternatives to Abortion program. This doesn't get much attention, but we're spending $100 million now on a program to help mothers in those difficult situations. If a mother decides to keep the child, then there are there's baby formula parenting classes, diapers, car seats, social services, job placement, encouragement. And if the mother decides to put the child up for adoption, there's help there as well. Last year, over 100,000 expectant mothers and adoptive parents were helped by this program. So many times this is presented to us as a dichotomy. You must choose between the mother and the unborn child. But we believe we can save the life of the unborn child, and we can love and protect and support that mother. And we can do both.
Right. And you bring up Roe v. Wade. So I want to turn to that really quickly. The Texas Attorney General said just yesterday in a filing with federal court, quote, the idea that the Constitution requires states to permit a woman to abort her unborn child is unsupported by any constitutional text, history, or tradition, suggesting SB 8 should be used to overturn Roe v. Wade. Was that what the law was intended to do when you wrote it, to overturn Roe v. Wade?
So the law is intended to protect innocent human life. If it has the effect of overturning Roe versus Wade, that's wonderful. Again, before Roe versus Wade, before 1973, that's not that long ago, before 1973, 200 years of constitutional precedent in America did not require abortion on demand. In 1973, 7 old men on the Supreme Court created this right to an abortion. It's not in the Constitution. I've read it. You've read it. It's just not there. And so once Roe versus Wade goes away, this decision will be made on a state by state basis. Before Roe versus Wade, California had much more permissive laws on abortion than Texas. New York had more permissive laws than Florida. And that's what the future would look like, where each state makes its own decision. So yes, we believe that Roe versus Wade was wrongly decided. And we believe one day it will be overturned. It will be on the ash heap of history. And we look forward to that day. So that was not our intent in passing this bill. But if this bill is the vehicle by which the Supreme Court overturns versus Wade, that's wonderful. We'd love to see that.
And bringing it back to the law itself, it is obviously one of the strictest abortion laws in the country. It bans the procedure as early as 6 weeks, which is often before many women claim to know to be pregnant. It also does not grant exceptions for cases of rape or incest. How did you and other lawmakers decide to make that decision to leave out those exemptions, even for disturbing cases where women may be the victim of a crime?
So first of all, we made sure that the woman's life and the woman's health are protected. So if the woman's life's in danger, the mother's life's in danger, or risk to her health, of course, that's an exception. Rape is just an unspeakable thing. Hard to imagine what that would be like. We have spoken with a number of rape victims. We've spoken with adults who tell us they were conceived in rape, horrible situations. And what we've learned from speaking with these women and from just looking at the law is that as horrible as a rape is, and as difficult as that will be for a woman to deal with, we wouldn't want to make it worse by taking the life of the unborn child. Now, we're going to punish that rapist. We're going to punish them aggressively. We're not going to punish the unborn child. If we believe that little baby growing inside her mother's womb is a human being worthy of protection, then we've got to give her that protection. So we want to help and support and give that mother all the help we can, all the love and support we can, but we don't want to make the situation worse by taking the life of the unborn child.
while the law does hold the citizens sort of accountable to enforce the law by suing abortion providers or those who are helping or harboring them, why was the law designed that way? Was it in fact to make it stickier from a sort of legal perspective?
Well, this idea goes back to the English common law. The concept is called qui tam, and it says that private citizens can bring suit on behalf of the public good, on behalf of the common good, and they're incentivized to do that. In federal law, we have what's called the False Claims Act. And if you, as a citizen, realize that someone's defrauding the federal government, you file a civil suit against them. If you prevail and prove your case, you're rewarded for that. Every state has consumer protection laws with this concept, so it's nothing new. Why do we do it here? Well, at the end of 2020, we had dozens of district attorneys from around the country, even many in Texas, who publicly stated that they would not enforce pro-life laws. They went so far as to say that even if Roe versus Wade is overturned, we will not enforce pro-life laws. So when those district attorneys and even some attorneys general who are sworn to uphold the law, they've taken an oath to do that. When they say we're not going to enforce the law, the people of Texas will respond. So citizen enforcement makes sense. In this case, it also had the effect of making it hard for a court to stop the law, because normally when you want to block a law, you sue the government agent who enforces the law, the governor, the attorney general, some agency person. In this case, any person can bring a suit, so it was more difficult for them to block the law. But the intent was to have the law take effect. If the DAs won't do it, then the people of Texas will do it themselves.
Other conservative states have now drafted up similar abortion legislation that the Justice Department is fighting, like the state of Mississippi. What are your thoughts on how similar legislation in other states affects how you do your job?
Under this federal system where each state kind of makes its own decisions, our founders said that the states would be laboratories of democracy, and we can look at other states and see how they do it and learn from their mistakes or from the things they got right. And so that's what we see happening here. So many states are passing heartbeat laws that look like the Texas law with citizen enforcement, because we know it will take effect and it will save lives immediately.
Many people know the topic of abortion has become so politicized. It's hard to really see what the heart of the issue is. And obviously, this is the Heartbeat Act. What is a message you have for those who disagree with you on the topic of abortion, who believe it should be a woman's right to choose with her doctor without the government? Because again, I think it's hard to sort of bridge the gap and just understand these are people here, and this is, human life that we're discussing, of the mother and of the baby. So what message would you have for those people?
Lauren, you're so right. It's a polarizing issue. It divides in so many ways. And I'm glad you asked that question, because ultimately this law says we can protect that innocent unborn baby growing inside her mother's womb. And as we do that, we can love and respect and support the mother. We can do both. The left tells us we have to make a choice. There's a dichotomy. They want to put the mother and the child at odds against each other. But we truly believe in Texas that little unborn baby is a human being worthy of protection. So our goal is to protect that little baby's life while we love and support and help that mother. That's our goal in Texas.
You discussed that even if the law is temporarily blocked by the Supreme Court, it will come back into effect, and those abortions during the time would still be liable. But if the law is ultimately, let's say, struck down, would you try to pass another bill into law that might face federal scrutiny?
Yes. Again, in Roe versus Wade, we believe in illegitimate opinion. It's bad science, bad law. It's just bad in so many ways. And what's been happening since 1973, look at how much technology has changed. Now with sonograms, we can look inside and we can see that little baby developing. And you look at that sonogram and in your heart, that's a little baby. Also, technology tells us that those babies can live earlier and earlier, even outside the womb. So yes, no matter what happens on the Texas Heartbeat Law, Senate Bill 8, states will continue to pass pro-life laws. Texas will continue to push. We will continue to do this so we can protect innocent human life. This fight is not over.
Well, State Senator Bryan Hughes, thank you so much for joining me on Erupt. We appreciate you taking the time and really letting us understand what you were thinking and what other lawmakers were thinking when they wrote this bill and what the future of abortion laws will be in the United States. Thanks again. We appreciate your time.